Welcome to the Truer podcast. I am your host, Katrina Slade, and I am here today to talk about feminine power. It's something that people are really afraid of and that the world has tried to squash and repress for thousands of years. But guess what? It's coming back. It is rising up in so many people right now. And I want to talk about it. But first, I want to talk about something that enraged me the other day. I was watching a movie with my husband. It was from 2016, which is only 10 years old. And there was a scene that really enraged me because of the misogyny. I actually said out loud to my husband, this was written by a man, clearly. I mean, most movies are written by men, unfortunately, but it was so unrealistic. It was like the ideal that a man could want in a woman presented in a movie scene. The situation was there was this man who lived in the big city and he was going back to a town he had spent time as a teenager, and his teenage fling. There was a girl who was his teenage fling, and he was going to go meet her. And they must have set it up ahead of time because he went to her house and she welcomed him in. She was wearing a beautiful dress. She was an athletic build. She looked like a fit woman. But the joke at the time was, oh, she's fat. He was trying to get to know her again, but he was disappointed because she was quote unquote fat. She was probably a size 6, I'm telling you. But she was fit, right? She wasn't willowy and skeletal. So these are the standards we grew up with, right? We grew up with women need to look like skeletons, and that is the ideal. If you have meat on your bones, you're not attractive to men. That's the messaging we received growing up. So back to this movie scene. She welcomes him in. She's in a beautiful dress, and they sit on her couch and they're starting to get to know each other again. They're starting to talk, and he has a pain in his neck. Oh, she stands up. Let me massage it for you. I haven't seen you in 15 years, but I'm going to get my hands all over you. She massages him and he goes, wow, that's great. And then she mentions all the pies she baked him. She lists off, oh, I made peach pie, I made blueberry pie. I don't remember. She listed off 5 pies, 5 different types of pies that she had made for him because she knew he was coming to visit her. Then they end up sleeping together and he decides, oh, I really like you, move back to the city with me. And when she has some hesitation about moving and uprooting her life on his whim, he freaks out and he throws a tantrum. He acts like a little boy. So this scene enraged me because it reminded me of the training we as women, we've all received growing up. We're supposed to make men comfortable. We're supposed to make them pleased with us. We're supposed to be docile. If we have any objections to whatever they want, it's a huge problem, right? Now, this is a scene in a movie. It's not real life, but it really triggered me because we all grew up with the messaging that being feminine means being what men want, what boys want. I grew up with this. We all grew up with this from birth. It's insidious. It's in the culture. We don't even see it because it's so ingrained, right? And this removed us from our power, the feminine power. And by the way, feminine power doesn't have to do with gender identity. It's a physical, biological thing that we all have, even men, even people who are male embodied. We all have the feminine and the masculine powers. But people who have women's bodies, we have a different kind of power as well. But it can be very confusing because our whole lives, we've been trained to be separate from that because it scares people. Feminine power scares people, and it's been deemed unattractive. It's been deemed unacceptable, being too feminine. It can be very confusing because when we try to please men or boys when we're growing up, when we try to please our fathers or our authority figures, our teachers, or we try to please the patriarchy, we're rejecting parts of ourselves. And we're trying to fit into a box. It's very confusing because at one time, on one hand, we're told you have to be like this. And on the other hand, we're brainwashed. You have to be like that. You have to be sexy. You have to be attractive. You have to men want to have you. And you have to be docile. You have to be innocent. You have to be pure. It's very confusing. And I'm really mad about this. So it reminds me of when I was 14. I think I was 14. I might have been 13. I was in 8th grade. This was the final year of middle school where I lived. And we were having our 8th grade graduation. And the theme was like Hawaiian tropical something, something. And so all of the girls had gone shopping and gotten cute dresses that were like Hawaiian themed and tropical themed. And we were having a school dance to celebrate our final graduation from this school. And the rule was no bra straps are allowed to be visible because, at the time dresses had like spaghetti straps and you weren't allowed to have your bra showing because that was unacceptable. So I had made a very special trip to Portland at the time. This was like a whole day. It took my family to drive me to Portland, go shopping at Victoria's Secret because I wanted to get a strapless bra. So I needed a bra to hold myself up, but I wasn't allowed to have the straps showing. So I got a strapless bra to wear with this really cute dress I had bought. It had spaghetti straps, just like all the other girls. But when I was at the dance, there was a female teacher at the door, and she looked at my body and said, "No, you're not allowed in." And I had spent so much time and energy and my money to follow the rules, but still I was not acceptable because my body was too womanly. I had breasts, and a lot of the other girls hadn't fully blossomed yet. So my female body was not acceptable, and I was crushed. I wasn't even allowed to go in until I convinced, I can't remember how, but we convinced her. I think I like shimmied my dress up so the cleavage was a little bit less, but I was just wearing the same kind of dress all the other girls were wearing. Imagine being told your body is unacceptable and you're not allowed to have this fun experience that everyone else is allowed to have. It's interesting because that memory was repressed. I hadn't remembered it until I went to Costa Rica a few years ago. And all of a sudden, something about the energy there really brought up a lot for me. So I know you have a similar story. When was the first time you were told your body is not acceptable, or you should be ashamed of your body just for being how it is, or you're not allowed to do this because of how you look? This is the same teacher. She was a young female teacher, by the way. This was the same teacher who was my volleyball coach that year. And I remember how she made me feel kind of icky when I was stretching in volleyball. We had a stretch called the Playboy. I know it's a stupid name, but it's when you are twisting your knee, your elbow touches your knee, and you're twisting and you're stretching kind of this part of your body behind you. And it's just one of the stretches you do when you're, stretching your body out and getting ready for the exercise, the practice. I was stretching and I was twisting my body, and you don't hunch your back, you straighten your back and you twist. And I was doing that just like all the other girls. And this teacher, who was a young woman, looked at my body and said, now I know why they call it Playboy. And it made me instantly self-conscious. I was in athletic clothing, by the way. I wasn't wearing spaghetti strap dress. She instantly made me feel like I did something wrong. She instantly made me feel like I should be hiding my body, like I shouldn't be stretching and holding my body in a certain way. Like I'm not allowed to take up space just like everyone else. And it's very confusing because at the same time, all of the media that we were shown at that time and many times still, it was like, you have to be cute, you have to be pretty, you have to be like this. My friends used to call me Pamela Anderson because I developed large breasts at a young age and I have long blonde hair naturally, by the way. So my whole identity was like, how you have to look pretty, you have to look cute, you have to make boys like you. But it's also bad. So it's confusing, right? How many of you have been told by somebody that your body is wrong, that you're not good enough, or that it's not acceptable? So we're programmed from a young age to try to be acceptable by being cute, by being pretty, and then we're punished for it. So it's very confusing. And it causes us to lose our connection to our power. They want to dim your power. A young woman, a young female, is very threatening to the patriarchy, while at the same time, very objectified, right? Around that same time, or even a few years earlier, I think I was 14 when I got my first job. I was like scooping ice cream at an ice cream shop, and it was in this place where there was other businesses, and my dad's office was in the same building. And I remember being there. I also worked for my dad. I was like filing paperwork for his business. And I'd go to that place and I just walk into the building, and men my dad's age would comment on my body. I was a child, I was 14. And this happened to me regularly, right? I'm sure some of you can relate to this. I'm sharing these stories because I think we need to air it out. It's like, okay, I'm being shown the idea of an old storage cupboard or chest. Like you put things away, you store them away for a long time, and they get musty, they get dusty, and sometimes there's like moths that eat away at the materials or whatever. And you bring it out, you open it up, ugh, it's like gross, it's musty, and it needs air. We need to air some of these out because we need to reclaim our power. And we need to realize how our power was dimmed, how it was taken from us. There's a power dynamic in the patriarchy where society is generally built on the premise that men have more power than women. And then there comes the age. If you're an older man and a younger woman, more power imbalance, right? So we grow up and we learn through these traumatic and hard experiences that it's not safe. to be in your body, that it's not safe to be yourself, or that it's not acceptable to be who you truly are. And that hurts. Again, I have so many stories, but I was also reminded of the time when I was maybe around 19. I was in my second year of university and I was working at a pizza shop. I only worked there for like 2 weeks because the boss, who was in his 50s, was being really pervy with me. He was making me feel very uncomfortable. And this is the owner of the business. He was inviting me to his house because he knew I had a history with being a housekeeper. I've had millions of jobs, by the way. I had been a housekeeper before, and he wanted me to come clean his house. But he was being very pervy about it, and I wasn't even a housekeeper anymore. He really was making me uncomfortable, so I had to quit. And I remember the manager was a younger guy who was very not threatening. He was actually very kind. And he asked me after I quit, I was like finishing up, and he said, I made up some excuse like, oh, it's too far of a drive for me. It was like a 15-minute drive. I was like, oh, I can't work here anymore. So what I was doing was I was protecting the sexual predator who was overstepping his place. And I was making myself look flaky and making myself look bad. And this happens all the time with people. And this guy who was the younger, nice guy, he was like the manager of the shop. He said, Katrina, is it because of him? I can't even remember this guy's name anymore, but he's like, is it because of him? Tell me the truth. Like he knew I was lying. And I said, okay, yeah, it's because of him. I don't want to be around him. And he understood. He could see it. So we're just trying to live our lives, right? And then the world can create these unsafe environments that make us uncomfortable, that make us feel like it's our fault if something happens. These are all the ways that we are separated from our power, and it's not our fault. It's not your fault. We internalize programming from birth that you have to please the boys, you have to please the men in order to be safe. So that's actually a form of self-betrayal. And so we're programmed to betray ourselves. And then we perpetuate self-betrayal in the following years. We perpetuate it through seeking approval, seeking validation from men, which oftentimes involves sexual encounters, which oftentimes is not for our highest good. We're giving ourselves away. We're giving our power away in order to, it's an exchange, right? In order to feel safe because we're accepted. Of course, this differs between cultures and religions, but I'm talking about in general and talking about my experience. So even if it's not in the foreground, which a lot of it is, but there's a lot in the background of our societal structures that perpetuate abuse, perpetuate predatory behavior. And it's so that women are separated from their power. We feel like in order to be successful, we have to be like men. We have to produce, we have to hustle, we have to strive. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you do it consistently, constantly, you're out of rhythm with your natural self, your natural cycles. And it leads to burnout. There's a whole nother layer here. This is the past lives and the ancestral energies that we are holding in the collective unconscious, and in our bodies. There's witch wounding. Women have been punished for having feminine power, having feminine wisdom. Women have been traumatized and punished for owning their sexuality, for having sexuality, instead of being only a virgin or a mother. Women, I don't even have to say it. You know what I'm talking about. Our mothers or our grandmothers or our great grandmothers, generations and generations, have had to fit in to survive. They've had to adapt to survive. And interestingly, now is the generation, people who are coming up in this generation, people who are living at this time, now is the time when our feminine power is waking up. We're remembering we have feminine power. We're remembering this vital part of our true essence, of our soul. It's like a part of our soul and it's a part of our physical biology. It's interesting. This feminine power. And oftentimes, remembering this is not a walk in the park. It's hard because it involves painful memories resurfacing. It can involve shadow work, that we realize that there's a wounding that needs tending to, that we need to finally look at. Or we're triggered by someone else, we're triggered by something else, and it causes us to crack open a part of ourselves that we had sealed away, like that old dusty storage chest that needs to open. There's aspects of ourselves that are calling us to discover them. And that's what I've been working with in my own self. I've been forced into it through really painful experiences, especially my health. Oh my God, I've talked about this plenty of times before, but women who have female health problems, either breast cancer or reproductive health issues, these are very hard lessons that are being presented to us. And there are invitations to heal a part of ourselves that needs it, that they're invitations to reclaim a part of ourselves that's been rejected. We've rejected our innermost feminine power because the world told us it wasn't safe. I'm not saying that's the number one cause of disease, but I think that plays a huge role in a lot of the feminine health issues that are very common. This idea of rejecting a part of ourselves. It's actually reminding me, I don't know why, that I'm being shown this vision of a heart pumping, but like imagine only, gosh, I don't know how many arteries that heart has, but imagine there's like 5 main arteries and we've blocked off 3 of them. And so we're only operating on 2. That's like 40% power, but 60% of our power has been blocked. Does that make sense? I'm just having this conversation with myself right now. I don't have a grand outline here. I'm just speaking what's been on my heart. And the interesting thing is, a lot of my clients lately have been going through similar situations, and I've done this practice with them where it brings in more of an inner harmony and an inner power It's a guided visualization. It's not just a visualization, though. It's like a quantum energy healing, really. And it creates an inner harmony that has been unattainable until now. And every time I guide this, I hear the same feedback from different clients. They say, "Oh my God, I felt the energy so strongly." And I think this is something we all need. We all need to reclaim our feminine power. And that's going to come to us in different ways. We're all different. For some of us, it might be through health complications. For some of us, it might be through relationship dynamics, other ways, multiple ways. But it feels like, it also feels like this idea of as within, so without, as above, so below. So what's happening on the inside of the individual is reflected on the outside, in the outer world, right? So what do we see happening right now? The patriarchal structures are imploding. They're going berserk. And they're, what's a word more than berserk? It's like nonsensical. The outer manifestations that they've created in the world right now. It's overt power grabs, and it's overt power over rather than supportive power. At the same time, a lot of the insidious, hidden, toxic abuse is coming to the surface. Some people are shocked. It doesn't shock me in the slightest. I'm talking about Epstein files and all of the people who are involved in that. And that's just one circle or one network. And you know there's many, many, many around the world. Certain parts of the world are regressing. Look at Afghanistan. I try not to fall into too deep of a despair when I think about the women in Afghanistan right now. The pain that's being put on the people where all the wars are happening unnecessarily. So these things are coming to the surface. At the same time, women are becoming more enraged. And actually, that's a good thing. Because when we can feel the rage, we're giving ourselves permission to be authentic, to be our true self. Because it's okay to be mad when all of this psycho stuff is happening in the world. The natural response is to be angry. I try not to be in the anger too much because I feel like for me, it could really drag me down. And I need to be in my power. But it is powerful to be able to feel it when you've spent your entire life trying to ignore it so that you can fit in to what the patriarchal society wants you to be. They don't want you to be angry, so you don't. You don't feel it so much. You've rejected your anger along with your sensuality, along with your sexual power, along with your feminine power. I know I have, and I've had to reclaim it, and I'm still reclaiming it. And people are uncomfortable talking about these things, even though this is just part of being human. If you're uncomfortable with this, you probably haven't lasted this long into the episode. So if you're still here, thank you. When I'm talking about feminine power, I'm talking about creation. Female bodies can create life, but we can also create more than human life. We can create human life, and we can create other manifestations in the world. The womb is a very, very powerful organ and energy center and portal. Really, the womb is a portal. And what I mean by that is we can create life in the womb and death. What I mean by that is every month when you bleed, you're renewing the old, the dead. I'm not saying it's dead tissue, but the old is shedding and then it renews itself, right? In ancient cultures, it was believed that women's wombs were the portal between life and death. So when a person died, their soul went into the womb to the other side, the unseen realms. So we can create life in human form and also in other forms. I myself have been practicing this for a while. I'm not creating a human baby, but I'm creating outcomes in my life. I'm creating bodies of work. I'm birthing bodies of work into the world. I'm creating impact. And I'm doing this intentionally through my feminine power in my womb, my creation energy. And if you want to know how to do that, it's going to take more than a podcast episode. I can't announce it yet, but I'm going to be coming out with something soon that's going to help you with that. So make sure you're on my email list because you'll hear about that coming soon. Okay? To help you with your creation energy, with your feminine power. I don't know why, but I felt like this conversation needed to happen today. It's a little heavy. So I'm going to ask you before I sign off here, what do you need? If you can, put your hands on your womb. If you don't have a womb, put your hands on your lower belly. It's still your creation center. Whether you're a man or a woman, whether you have a womb or you don't have a womb. I invite you to breathe into this part of your body. And I invite you to ask yourself, what do I need? For me, I feel like I need to go outside and be in the sun. I've been in my desk all day, so just sitting here. For you, you might need to move your body and dance. You might need to express yourself creatively with a drawing or by singing. You might need to nap. You might need to rest. What do I need? This is a very simple way of connecting to your feminine power because we're not asking the mind what we need. We're asking the womb or our sacral energy, our sacral chakra. What do I need? Or you can even say, what do you need? What does my womb need? If you're on this journey of healing feminine wounding, of reclaiming your feminine power, let me know. Comment. Send me a DM. I'd love to hear it. Because I'm going through this. I have been for quite a while. Happens in layers, happens in seasons. And I know if you're listening to this, you probably are too. So you're not alone. And it's also a magical journey of discovering your power, your creative power, your authenticity. It's a beautiful thing. At the same time, it brings up anger, it brings up sadness. That's okay. You've got to feel it to heal it. You've got to feel it to let it go so it doesn't stay stuck inside, right? So maybe what you need is to sit with that emotion. Maybe you need to journal on that. Okay, that's all for today. I love you. Thank you for being here. And let me know if this episode resonated with you, because I'm trying something different. I'm doing more free flowing, sharing, expressing, rather than just being a channel for other information. I'm not doing as many readings anymore. I'm doing more sharing and storytelling. Does that resonate with you? Do you want to hear more? Please let me know, because I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, bye.
One more thing. I just want to tell you, I love you, and I'm proud of you for doing the inner work, for showing up, and for choosing a truer life. If this episode resonated with you, if it helped you access a deeper truth within yourself, then please share it with someone you love, because the world needs more of us living our truer lives. This has been a Truer Media production. The Truer podcast is created and produced by me, Katrina Slade. Music by Frequently Asked Music. Wordmark by Annika Samples of Incandescent Creative. Cover photography by Lucinda Richard. Time for the really short legal talk. This podcast is presented solely for educational purposes. I am your soul sister. I am a spiritual guide, but I am not a licensed physician, psychologist, or other qualified medical professional. I hope to see you again.